Good afternoon, everyone. This is Henry, and as we get into tonight's video newsletters, the SPX has been going through the pullback. Essentially, the biggest part of this has been post-August expiration. So I just think it's really important to remember that the markets can move in certain ways because of the monthly options that kind of drive them into these various spots. So, markets go up into a fresh new lifetime high. We get through the Friday that was the monthly expiration. And then in my mind, I don't want to say that's necessarily triggered this, but it's been a big part of what has brought us down into some lower prices. So that selling has taken us right back into the 21 EMA. This is often referred to as the daily mean. And it's honestly an area where I have to give you a pretty considerable question mark, right? We know that Jackson Hole is now underway. That will be going through Saturday. And the market is very eager to see what Powell has to say throughout those couple of days. So again, hard to speculate on this. I think there's just so much, possibility in both directions. So what does the market need? Well, as the title to the video implies, NVDA is the market's only hope, right? Or it's a very big focal point for what's going to be unfolding into next week. So yeah, we're going to want to see what Powell does, and we'll have more of that feel on Monday. Whatever that may bring, this is the big focal point. Again, this is going to be Wednesday afternoon. And what makes it even more interesting is that you'll notice that NVIDIA now has a daily squeeze in play. So there is the chance of larger than expected movement. If I had to give you my best guess of what was going to unfold right here, now of course, mind you, the prices of this will change. I can't imagine that we'd be exactly at 175 on Wednesday afternoon. But one thing that we can bet on is that we're going to have increased implied volatility, right? The options for next week will remain elevated because market makers are having to price in their risk around bigger movement. So what I'm going to try to do, and it's always a little dicey up here at new lifetime highs or, when you're so close to them, but I like the idea of looking at a double unbalanced butterfly. And if the strategy seems foreign to you, just know that I'm working to accomplish something that is very similar to an iron condor, right? Everybody's familiar with an iron condor, where you're basically selling strikes, looking for a product to stay inside a specified range. However, with the iron condor, if you move up and you start testing your short strike, that can kind of be an anxiety-producing thing. Well, as you move over into the unbalanced butterflies, you are more willing to have those ranges tested. Now, if they're going to make it easy, we'll open up somewhere basically flat, and those could do really well. But essentially, I like to look at a 1 by 3 by 2 up here on the upper end. I like to take in a credit for that trade, and then I'm going to look at a 1 by 3 by 2 on the downside as well, also done for a credit. And then if either of those ranges are approached, we should still be able to pull a profit out of it depending on exactly what we're able to take in credit-wise. But I think that's the best way to be looking at NVIDIA for the report itself, right? No comments from here into Wednesday afternoon. That's where implied volatility can keep rising. That's not a guarantee either. But consider that strategy around the earnings report, and I think it'll give you a way to at least approach a high volatility event from a vol crush kind of perspective. And that's the way that I'm going to try to make some money in NVIDIA. Now, if all that's a little bit outside of what you typically like to do, and maybe you want to keep things a little bit more simple through the outright purchase of puts and calls, well, then I've got one more bonus symbol for you here, and that is JP right? So in these YouTube videos, I try to make the squeeze a foundation of my setup, and I always enjoy when I can tell traders, even if you don't know the squeeze, you can learn it here pretty quick by looking in this lower subgraph. Those red dots show us moments of compression, and when they turn to green, it's the idea that the compression is over and the directional move is underway. So you see how JP trades sideways here for a while, and then when that squeeze fires, it really takes off. Now, of course, this comes with the caveat that next week could be a little bit tricky, but if you're willing to give me into the end of the year, I believe that's one of the best squeezes out there. So ideally, you can get positioned in something here, not have to take too much heat, maybe take some quick profits if you are so inclined, but then hold something out into November and December. and look for a repeat of that advance. So 2 very different strategies and 2 very different names. I hope you're able to make some money with it, and we'll see you in the chat room tomorrow. Hey traders, this is Henry with simplertrading.com. I wanted to thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and if so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you would like to also see me putting these ideas into action and trading my own account live in front of you, be sure to sign up at simplertrading.com, and I hope to see you in the chat room sometime soon.